Well, here we are, another beautiful day in Kentucky with the shining, bright, insane light behind me, which shows my backyard, and the gurgling of the water, which I'm not sure if this microphone picks up, is indicative of the pond that I installed last summer and which I've spent about a year trying to perfect. You know, you're not an engineer or an architect or a contractor even when you can't dig 4.5 feet down, create a terraced level, put rocks around it after you put a liner into it, and successfully create a pond that you can put a couple of cheap feeder goldfish into and maybe get one carp out of by the time they mature, if they survive the winter that is forthcoming this fall and, well, winter. But never let it be said that I didn't give it time to mature, since I dug it last summer and now here it is this summer, and I'm still working out the kinks. But anyway, my grass being blue and this being Kentucky and it being July, I just thought I'd check back in with those of you who give a rip. If I look a little oily or effervescent, it's because I just finished working in the yard and I changed my shirt because the other one was pretty toxic. I shared in an email with a dear friend, actually a former professor, a great man who I admire very, very much. I was sharing with him some of the adventures and misadventures of my last 6-8 months here in Kentucky and all the things which led me out of the realm of education and into the realm of assurance, not insurance, mind you. AFLAC stands for Assurance Company, ASSUR. And of course, the word ass does reside somewhere in that nomenclature. I was thinking about how everyone is either talking or trying not to talk about this November's election. So much so that it's an ongoing topic of conversation here in Kentucky with almost every customer who comes through my bar at the Bardstown Motor Lodge, where I have been tending bar Thursdays through Sundays for the last 2 months. And I make it very, very clear, I don't discuss politics, nor do I discuss religion at work. There's no need for it. If it comes up, I always give people one warning. If you really want this Irishman's opinion of my religious/moral stances or my political/polemical dispositions, this is your chance to back out of it now, and all will be well. And easily 3 out of 4 people go, no, please continue. Because when people hop up to this little tiny bar in the pool or up in the restaurant, they're usually from out of town. I only have about a dozen or so semi-regulars. My regulars, oddly enough, are from the distillery business or the Budweiser distributorship here in town, or just a couple of people who've heard that there's a bar where you can go and drink outside and it won't be crowded with a bunch of 20-somethings who all want to be progressively annoying. And that's exactly, by the way, two of my local regulars are registered with the ACLU, but voted Democrat for their entire lives and are utterly disgusted with the behavior of some of the younger generation of their party. Just saying. Their words, not mine. Just telling you. I outed that one. We agree on almost nothing, but they drink at my bar. They like my old fashions and all as well. But anyway, the purpose of this one was just to share this quote, which deals with politics and deals with dissatisfaction and the democratic process, of which we are not a democracy in this country, never have been. We've always been a republic, and everybody that's passed basic civics knows that, or anybody who's breathing in and out and can read knows that. But we hear a lot about democracy and preserving it, reserving it, qualifying it, defining it. Majority rule, that's what that means. And the man I quoted in this email to my former professor and dear beloved friend, well, I consider him a friend. I don't know if he considers me a friend. I pray he does. Was a quote and is a quote and will always be a quote that I hold dear in my heart, which my father, a strong conservative Republican, and me too, of course, the same, by a liberal Democrat from the state of Arizona, during the 1976 Democratic primary. I believe it was Super Tuesday. I could be wrong on that specific, but the man's name was Morris Udall. Google that man. Udall. A man who is believed too funny to be in politics. Says a lot. And a great man who's, again, many of his platforms I don't agree with at all, but that didn't mean he wasn't brilliant and funny. Morris Udall, who would wind up losing to, of course, the eventual Democratic nominee, Jimmy Carter, who was the incumbent at that time, and who, I shouldn't say the incumbent. The incumbent, of course, was Gerald Ford. Jimmy Carter would eventually win that primary and go on to be president for the next 4 years. But Udall was something else. And the quote, I'll save for the end, and I'll sign off with it. What makes me think about the relevance of this is all these people who really do want to hear what I think, and I tell them what I think, and then most of the people are fine with it, and then they would openly disagree or agree with me, and then we chat about it, and then they finish their old-fashioned or their fifth old-fashioned or whatever, and everybody goes home happy because everybody freely exchanged ideas, which was a liberal platform for a very long time. And one of the reasons why, if it were 1847, I would probably be what you would consider a libertine, if you will. But it's not 1847 anymore. Whatever the case, this gentleman, Morris Udall, lost pretty badly in every successive primary leading up until, if memory serves, the Super Tuesday primary, which is like 13 or 12 or 9 or 11 or some number of states who all ran a primary on the same day. And if you get blown out on Super Tuesday, that's it. And Morris Udall got blown out. I think he finished second a couple places and third, fourth, or fifth in the others. It was bad. And when my father and I got home from school that day, and I remember rolling home, and my dad and I watching, I don't know, it wasn't Eric Severide in those days. It wasn't Chet Huntley. Boy, am I dating myself with those two names. It might have my dad didn't watch CBS. He usually watched ABC. So it might have been, no, Jennings wasn't there. Gaping holes in my memory. Well, whoever it was some talking head. And it might have even just been the local news guy, maybe Jerry Dunphy or George Putnam or Paul Moyer or Tricia Toyota or any of those LA-based eyewitness, as my father often called it, eyewitness news teams people. And they said, when asked to comment about his losses on Super Tuesday, Morris Udall had a succinct comment. And this is when they used to bleep this word. Morris Udall was not happy that the people had voted him out. And so for those of you who this November are going to vote pretty much like me, and you know that I'll be voting for Mr. Trump, if anybody knows me at all knows that I will, not because he's my favorite person, he's probably a colossal jackass in person, or maybe he's not, but the fact is I'm voting for him, and that's who I am, and I'm not apologizing for that because last time I checked, this is still a free country. I could privately ballot, but I don't give one rip what people think of who I'm voting for. I know many of you will vote for Mr. Biden, which is your choice. Or if Biden gets overthrown or steps down or gets Manchurian candidated or something, you'll vote for the other guy. Or maybe you'll vote for Kennedy or maybe Gus Hall with any luck. Is Gus still around? God bless Gus Hall. But whomever you vote for, if your candidate wins, you're going to be happy. But those of you who lose are going to have to say the words or think the words that that the people have voted accordingly, and that's it. What are you going to do about it? Morris Udall had a statement about that, and that's the title of this inappropriately titled YouTube clip. All is well here. I'm still bartending, still trying to sell Aflac Assurance, and trying to climb into a new part of my life. Everybody's healthy and well. My mom's doing great in California. My dearest friends and loved ones are working and playing and taking vacations, and My wife and her theater company are going well. The kids are healthy. The cat is currently scratching at the glass door trying to get into the sunroom where I am now. But Morris Udall said more about politics in a few words than any political comment ever. We've all heard all the great comments, all the great statements. We've heard, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Or tear down that wall. Or I feel your pain, America. I feel your pain. Or it's the economy, stupid. Or read my lips, no new taxes. We all know the famous and infamous, I am not a crook. Oh, we know all of these famous and infamous moments in political history, but until the day I die, nobody's going to beat Morris Udall. Not a conservative, not a Republican, for what he said when he got bounced on Super Tuesday. They said, what do you think of your results from today, Mr. Udall, Senator Udall? And he said, the people have spoken, the bastards. And there it is. They're bastards. Every one of them. Me, you, all of us. But they too are God's handiwork.